These my dance make it hurt.
Hello and welcome to Project Passion, the podcast made to inspire you to follow your passion and turn it into successful business or career. If you are enjoying the podcast, guys, real quick, you can just hit the like button, hit subscribe if you're watching the video. If you're listening on any of the podcast platforms, you can just hit follow, and if you fancy leaving a review, really appreciate it as well. But on to the episode. This week, I'm joined by Cormac Kavanagh, aka All Changed. He's a hip-hop music producer from Ireland. And obviously, this episode is going to be all things music production. But Colm also has the unique perspective of a lot of social media content he puts out and like his YouTube channel. So really good content, guys. It's going to be super valuable. I know for you guys that have actually been listening the last couple of weeks, have been listening to the different music ones that we've been doing. This is going to kind of round it all off for you and hopefully give you the other side perspective of what we had last week with Fluttertone, and Cormac can bring a whole different perspective to it. But do you want to introduce yourself, Cormac, first? Obviously, thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, cheers for having me, Johnny. Like you said, I've been watching all the music ones you've done. I've really been loving them. So thanks for having me and really appreciate it. Yeah, like you said, my name's Cormac. I work under the name All Changed. I make beats for hip hop artists. I record, I mix, I master. Basically anything you need to get a record done and get you out there as an artist.
Nice. So obviously, for anyone that hasn't listened to any of the previous ones, obviously, if you haven't, go back and listen to them. But can you kind of just break down for anyone that doesn't actually have any idea about music production, kind of what it actually is and what it sort of entails?
Yeah, so we will take it anywhere really, depending on the artist, from writing the song with them. In hip hop, a lot of times the producer is called the producer because they make the beats. So there's composition even involved in that. There's playing of guitars and pianos, there's chopping up of samples, arrangement, everything like that. And then after that's done, or whether they even need that at all, then we can go into recording the vocals, recording whatever instruments they want on top. Then there's the process of mixing. So we need to mix everything in, make sure it all works together. And then mastering, which is simply put, making the track as loud as it can be for streaming services.
Yeah. And you guys, you guys being you, obviously take all this on yourself. And obviously people can come to you and do this. So what is that process? How does someone kind of come to find you and work with you? And what does that sort of process look like for people?
Yeah, well, I really follow when I first started out, I was very much like, let's get this online and
Yeah.
let's, reach out to as many big names as we can and try and work with everybody. But now I'm really all about just working locally and just, if you're a local Irish rapper, singer, and you might know me from being in the same circle, or you might see me from another Instagram page that you follow and I'm suggested, or anything like that. And I'll be doing the same. I'm constantly on Instagram and looking at the next guy and the next guy, and oh, you're
Yeah.
local, you want to work. So it's a very local process at the moment.
Nice. I think that kind of translates as well. Obviously, for people that have heard the last couple of weeks in the music ones, even way back to when we had Kevin on right at the start, because obviously you know Kevin being in the Irish music scene, and that kind of seems to be the way off it within the Irish music scene, that it is very close knit. It's kind of who you know rather than what you know, and sort of it's all more about the network, kind of knowing people in the industry.
Yeah, and because of that, there's like a very clear code of conduct. And I
Yeah,
heard it on multiple of the music ones you had. Don't be a dick.
that it's a rolling theme.
Exactly. It's a rolling theme because you gotta. I worked on a song or two with Kevin. We had a great time, loved him, and now all of a sudden I'm on your podcast, and that's just the way the Irish music industry works, you know?
Yeah, and I will say as well, actually, Kevin was on at the start. Obviously, everyone knows that side on how I know Kevin. But the reason I got Fluttertone on here, the reason you're on here, the reason I have other people who hopefully will be coming on is literally all Kevin, because he's just like, it's music industry. He's like, I'll connect you, like I'll get someone that you can speak to. And I like that. That's how, I mean, even in marketing, that's how I do business, completely on networking, completely on connection. And I think it actually kind of helps kind of build bigger bonds. And I know that's something that's really important for you guys, and a goal for you is actually kind of building these regular clients, building this sort of nice community around the hip hop culture in Ireland.
Yeah, for me, that like 110% comes down to when someone actually does say, Cormac, I want to work with you, I make sure that that job is done as best as I can do it. I'm never going to say perfect because that would only be killing myself to achieve
Yeah.
something I can't,
Yeah.
but as best as I can do. And it's happened numerous cases where they're like, I'm so happy with the product, I'm coming back again, we work again. Because
That's
there's a
awesome.
million and one producers out there, you know? So it's really, if you give a great service and you're friendly about it too, I believe they'll keep coming back.
That's it. And actually, as you say that, when I was doing kind of the research before coming on to the podcast, there was an interview with Craig Cooney, one of the artists you've been working with at the minute, when he released the Young Forever single. If you haven't heard it, guys, it'll be linked in the description below. I suggest you go listen to it. It's a fantastic track. But he actually said that when he came to you, he kind of just spoke to you about it, kind of gave you an idea of what he wanted, and you just came back to him with like 6 different beats. Like, here you go, ready to go. And the kind of, I suppose that is kind of, as you say, giving the best service, giving the best product, so to speak, and letting people know you actually have a good work ethic and can kind of actually get the job done for them.
And it's humility as well. I think in hip hop, there is, like I said, because producers a lot of the times in hip hop are making the beats. You're a composer then, right? And this is like your music. And I've seen it happen time and time again where it's like, I've made this beat, it's fire, he's gonna love it, you know?
Yeah.
What if he doesn't? What if that's the only thing you bring to the room and he doesn't like it? So I come
Mhm.
in with like 6 or 7 based on the same idea that he wanted. And it's like, and this happened. I'm not gonna lie, you know, I played the first one and it's like, oh, his head's not even moving, his foot's not even tapping. Oh,
Right.
next one. Like, didn't even let that finish, you know, 20 seconds in,
Hmm.
next one. And then on the third one, maybe he's bobbing his head. I can see him thinking of something, you know, tapping the foot. This might work. But if I only had one, like, that'd be game over.
You're walking in, walking out 5 minutes later, and it's an instant loss. At least you kind of planned redundancy for the fact that the first 3, 4, 5 might just absolutely fucking bomb, and you're going to need a backup in there. And I mean, it's workmanship, isn't it? It's even in the turnaround time with what he expected you to come back with 1, 2 maybe tracks, and you just turned up with 6 in hand, ready to let's ball, just go out.
Yeah, at the end of the day, this is what I love doing. So, like you said, I'm not letting any opportunity fall. If someone says they want to work, it's bring everything I've got to every job.
Good. I actually do want to talk more about that sort of network side and the Craig Cooney in your current work. But I kind of wanted to ask as well, just because I know it's valuable and we've got the perspective of everyone else along the way. Obviously, in terms of education, you are in your last year, you're studying music production at Windmill Lane Studios. Do you want to kind of just explain that to guys, kind of what it is you're doing within there and sort of what you're trying to get out of it?
Yeah, so at Windmill, they have a college that's based in the building in Windmill Studios. It's called Pulse College. It's in conjunction with Griffith, and they do a range of courses. Even if you wanted to do filmmaking and things like that with cameras, what I've chosen to do is music production. So we do a bit of sound engineering and we do a bit of production from a creative standpoint. We're in there using their studios. They have 3 separate studios in there. We're using the desks. We're getting to know a range of new microphones, working with artists from a creative standpoint and from a very, very technical standpoint. And it's really meshing those two to make the best producer and engineer you can be.
Yeah. Did you study music before going to there, or was it your completely first time out when you went to there to do music?
I always loved music, but I was a science nerd.
Yeah.
So secondary school, I took all the sciences. You know, we picked 3 that we want to do, and I just took all the sciences. I didn't do music. Now I always had my little piano lessons when I was a kid and stuff, but no, it was literally came back from doing something I really didn't want to do, and
Mhm.
during that time, I was constantly recording with local artists and making beats and mixing their things terribly now, completely awfully.
Right.
But I was doing it all the time. And I said, look, why not go and train to do this thing that I love
Mhm.
doing?
Perfect. And that's just investing in yourself. And I mean, kind of I'll not tangent too far, but that's what I kind of preach as well through my own sort of Instagram and stuff, is just literally constantly learn about everything around you. And if you kind of are interested in something, trying to educate yourself and try and be as good as you can be, which is obviously what you decided you wanted to do. You seen something that was passion of yours and that you wanted to proceed with and try and kind of pursue as a career. And then you just kind of worked out what's the step to get there. Okay, educate myself in it first. Let's go do that. And then next step is get your name out there, start connecting, which you're doing. I mean, and I think that's a good thing to kind of keep in mind when people watch these, is not just what people are saying, but kind of the steps that they've taken, like you have, to get to where you are now.
Yeah, 110%. And like you were saying there on do what you love and find out the steps for that, it's going to be easy because the steps that you're trying to look for, they're the things that in here you want to do, you know? And it's like even the studying of that thing gets a hell of a lot easier when it's something you love. It doesn't feel like work anymore, and it's just,
Yeah,
it's next level stuff.
100%. It's like, how do you get good at something? It's just enjoy it, and you'll get good at it. I mean, if you enjoy what you're
Yes.
doing, you're going to want to learn more. You're going to want to educate. You're going to want to find a mentor. You're going to want to go down all these extra channels to fucking just do the best you can, really.
Takes 10,000 hours to become a master at something at least.
Yeah.
But what's 10,000 hours when we're doing what we love anyway?
It's 24/7 at that point anyway, so you get there quicker. That's it.
Exactly, exactly.
I actually wanted to ask as well, because obviously you say you kind of go and it's inside Windmill Lane Studios. And kind of wanted to ask that question before about if you'd done music beforehand, to ask if there's a contrast between the sort of practical side and the theory. And do you feel that your course is a lot more practical, being that you're in that location, as opposed to maybe doing a course at BIM, like Kevin does, which is the British Institute of Modern Music, isn't it?
Mm.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think there is a much of a difference practicality base for the courses you do?
Yes. Now I'm not too aware of BIM, but I do know BIM do a production class as well, and they have a desk and they have some sort of studio space, because what
Mhm.
we do would literally be impossible to learn without it being hands-on, technical, and
Okay.
there. There's modules where we just read about the software from a book, and it gets to a point where it's like, why don't we all just pull up the software and actually do this in real life applications? You can't read about this stuff, you just
Yeah.
can't. And kids are doing just that. I mean, okay, I'm going to a place to learn this, but you could sit at home with Pro Tools open on the left of your computer and YouTube open on the right, and if you've got enough time, you will learn this and you'll get it done, you know?
100%. I mean, at this point, I mean, it was a joke a few years ago, but it's actually at the point now where if you want to learn something, sure as shit, you'll find a video on YouTube for it. At least one video for everything in life you want to know, you'll find.
I understand for some specialities you need that piece of paper that you get at the end of the degree, but if you
Yeah.
don't need the paper, just use YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to be a doctor or a surgeon, I highly suggest going to university, because I don't think they're going to give you. Just, I watched how to do a brain surgery online. I think I can do this. I don't think it's going to cut it. But yeah,
No, I
hundred
don't want
percent.
that guy doing my surgery.
No, or the pilot that has only ever flew a simulator and never flew a plane. Not having that either.
Which, by the way, bringing it back to production, there's a lot of false information on YouTube from guys who are just kind of, you know, doing their own thing and they learned it from another guy, and it goes down the chain. And I've actually worked with lads on tracks and like YouTube trained lads, and they're great at some things, and then they'll just do something that's absolutely stupid. And it's like, why did you do that? Oh, well, I saw a guy on a YouTube video do it. So there is, I think, working, whether it's in a college or not, working with other creatives who do the same thing as you is going to help you excel in your learning, because that's probably the most valuable part of the college experience for me. Is I'm in there with 10, 12 other amazing producers, and I just send them a mix. They say, this is shit, that's horrible, this is what you do, and we learn and grow that way, you know?
Nice. And it kind of going back to what you kind of said earlier, kind of push it on. Your current work, again, you worked with a number of people on the Craig Cooney Young Forever, and from what I was looking online as well, even a couple of weeks ago, Fluttertone worked on that as well. It was you, Fluttertone, Craig, and there was others involved, I believe, as well, was it?
Yeah, Young Forever, I met Craig through Column at Fluttertone. And yeah, we met that way. We had a discussion. We chatted. We saw what Craig wanted and what his vision was for. It wasn't actually just one song. It was like a vision for like a 3-part. Um, not no, you can't really drop an EP anymore because people just listen to the singles. But even in that respect, for the works of a live show, we were looking to create 3 singles that would work well together and the same instruments and things like that.
Okay, and they're yet to come, I suppose, as well. They're not yet out.
Yeah, just one of them out at the moment. So hopefully, if they like them enough, they might release the other 2. That's another struggle of being a producer. I've worked on a lot of songs that haven't seen the light of day yet, and things like that.
Yeah, what, just completely scrapped or just pushed back?
Yeah, 1 or 2 completely scrapped, and then 1 or 2 it's like, oh, there's single after single coming, so this will be next and next, you know. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad song for it to be completely scrapped either. It could be that the artist is moving in a new direction. That's happened to me too, where it's like, oh, we did this and this is very this, but now we're actually going for this style, and
Right.
that's shelved, you know. So it can be disappointing, but it's the process that we love working about.
Exactly, yeah. So obviously that was very sort of not technical, more hands-on. You know, there was you and there was a lot of different working parts. What was kind of the process? Because it's kind of good, like a case study almost, from kind of start to finish. What was you guys' process to kind of get that from his idea to, you know, the blog post wrote about it, the track out there, being on all these platforms? What's the process for that?
Yeah, so Colin brings Craig in, and we sit down and we chat and we laugh, and I ask him about what's going on in his life, and I ask him what music he's listening to, and I ask him what he's hoping to make and what that should sound like, and then he pulls up all of those things, and we come together with a little plan. I'll take that plan home and I'll make the beat in my own time, because that could take me 5-6 hours. You know, I don't want to looking over my shoulder while I do that. Some lads really can, and they can do it in 30 minutes with a guy looking over their shoulder, but fair play to them. I'm not doing that. I bring them back, like you said, there's like 5-6 beats, bring them back to him, and we'll pick the ones that we want to work on. And you can generally tell straight away. You put on for 10 seconds, he's like, this is the one. In our case, then, we weren't just going to go with computer generated samples. We were saying we want real instruments, so we got Kevin in for guitar. We were looking at getting bass players in, real drummers in, and we get in the studio and we record all the instruments. See that, obviously, an overlooked part of the process is you're not just there to record and engineer, you're also there to make sure that Craig, the artist, is extremely fucking happy with everything that's going on, and he's comfortable and he's always being looked after. So we do all that, and we take breaks whenever we need to. All the artists, musicians are happy. Then I leave. I usually take it home to mix it. Again, it's the kind of idea of no pressure, no one looking over my shoulder. Mix it. Then it's a little back and forth of, we usually create a group chat. It's like, hey guys, get 5 or 6 guys in there for as many opinions as possible. Do you like this mix? And if there's 5 or 6 people in there, there's probably 30 things that need changing. Cool, bring them all in. Let's change that. It gets smaller and smaller every time. Go and master it, and you have your track then.
Nice. And then obviously that goes over to Fluttertone, and then it gets marketed, it gets promoted and put out there for everyone else to get at.
Yeah, yeah, and Colin did an amazing job. Like I googled it there when it came out, Young Forever, and there's just blog post after blog post talking about it. He
Yeah.
really did an amazing job on that.
I mean, even because obviously when I had the podcast last week with him, we'd kind of not even mention this whole part of it. And then it's only when I was getting ready for this podcast and I literally seen how many how many blog posts, sorry, he had got put out for it. And like I even this morning I was looking again, I was just more. It's just crazy how good he done in terms of promoting that track and getting that out there for people.
And I really appreciate it as much as I'm sure Craig does, because the composition they wrote about in a lot of the blogs, and they're saying, I love the way this does this, and I love when this comes in and out and stuff, and I'm there thinking, shit, this amazing stuff for my website, you know, pop that on up, and it's really great.
Because I was actually going to do it because I did save one of the quotes that was about you, just to kind of blow your little trumpet for you here a bit. But basically someone had asked in an interview, they'd asked him, sorry, kind of about the organic vibe of the track, and if it was something that he had in mind when he had started working with you, and if there was a version of the song that was completely different that came out. And he said, he gave you a vague description, as I said before, what I wanted, and then literally a couple of days later, and his quote is, "The man's a workhorse." So again, just backing up how hard you worked on the track for him. You had like 6 different types of beats based on the idea that he gave you, and then you basically kind of went down and worked out the one that was best. And he said it was great to build the track with you. You did a lot of work on it, and it really added. Yeah, sorry, and you really added to it with your production skills. And when you got the mix back, he was delighted. It would help if I read this 5, 6 times beforehand before I do these podcasts, wouldn't it?
Perfect, man. Brilliant oratory skills there.
Making it up as we go along.
Craig really, I love it. He's a really nice guy, and I think we just gelled well together, so he was happy with the process.
Yeah, and I think the whole track was enjoyed by everyone. Like, I don't think there was any bad sort of response to it. Every response that I've seen, even sort of YouTube and on the other online platforms, has all been great.
Yeah, so far, man. Let's not jinx it.
Not yet, not yet. But I also wanted to ask, because that's obviously not the only current work you've got going on. You're obviously working with Jah as well. Is there anything you can sort of let us know about that? Obviously, you might have things you can't talk about, but do you want to kind of just let people know what's going on there as well?
Yeah, so we've worked before, and that's actually a few of the instances where it's got shelved. And we did one recently, which I'm really excited about, and we've also got another feature on it. Um, and that'll be coming out really soon. I'm actually, before we met in this meeting, I was finishing up the mix, and then I'm going to send it over to him probably tomorrow or the next day. And that's the one that we built a documentary about, the process of me making it, him writing and recording it, and how sort of two creatives from opposite views of making the song come together and make a hip hop song.
Nice. And I actually did want to, I know we said we were going to talk about this because I find it really interesting. I know other people will as well. So this is actually a documentary series that you guys were originally going to do for YouTube, but it's now going out on Instagram, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, IGTV. I'll be popping up on YouTube too, but it just seems like there's more people wanting to
Yeah.
watch it on there.
Yeah, and this is obviously working with various hip hop artists, and it's really for fans and music creators to actually see what the process is, and to hear from the artist. And I think you had obviously said beforehand, the first episode with Jah is now released. It's on his Instagram, which we'll link below for anyone who wants to go see that. Go check it out. You kind of want to break down sort of what it is you were doing in that episode and sort of what you were trying to get across to the viewer.
Yeah, so it's purely crossed my mind because hip hop is such a mainstream genre now, be it underground hip hop or trap or whatever. It's like it's the music at the moment, and there is a particular process of making a song that is in hip hop that isn't in any other genre, and it's this relationship between the producer and the rapper, or traditionally the DJ and the rapper. And so I thought I would just make a series that documents exactly that. So you see an interview with myself and the artist. First one is with myself and Jah, and the interview is the recurrent theme that goes throughout. But what that's sort of representing is that is when you sit down with your artist, and that's the part that you really don't want to miss. That's, you're learning about them, their life, their music, why they do what they do, how they do what they do, and that conversation is the one that's going to make the best song. So you can see then how when I'm making the beat, I'm incorporating what he's actually saying to me about his life or about what he wants to write about. And then we take it to him. We talk about his writing process. You get to actually see his writing process. We talk about his rapping process. You can see it. Then there's mixing the beat. There's getting all the processes we've discussed. I just decided to document them because there's something so unique about the hip hop process that if anyone's interested, it's one that you could copy and mimic and repeat over and over.
And what's the sort of theme of it then? It's obviously not scripted, but is it kind of set up in front of the camera, or is it kind of more kind of like behind the scenes type shot? What way have you kind of put it together?
Yeah, so I was doing the video editing for this one. We built a bigger team now, so hopefully the next one will be even better. But with me not being much of a video editor, it's very behind the scenes. You know them like, you know, when you're watching like an Oasis documentary or something
Yeah,
and the camera
yeah.
footage is like, you
Yeah,
know, so it's got
janky.
that edgy edgy thing to it, and it's
Nice.
that's the vibe so far. We're freshening it up a bit for the next few. But really, to me, it's more about the content, and it's the fact that an upcoming music producer could look at this and it's like, oh, this is what I can do, this is how I can do it, and this is why it's beneficial to do it.
Yeah.
And an upcoming rapper can be like, oh, so if I actually got myself a producer instead of just buying a beat and recording on my phone, I could actually get this, this, and this. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good video to push for those reasons.
Nice. And obviously, it's not just a one timer. You have the ambition to make this obviously a series, a lot more artists, and a lot more episodes to come.
Yeah, and my vision behind it for me personally, because I'm not going to lie and say I'm a selfless person. There's a selfish vision there. And the selfish vision is it gives me the opportunity to work with as many local artists as I want. And it's a mutually beneficial
Hmm.
project.
Yeah.
So we come out with a video which stars both of us. You can see what I do, you can see what they do. Great for
Hmm.
both of us. And there's a song at the end of it, which is great for them. They can go push the song and not charging anything for these projects because
Yeah.
it's I've found a way to make working with new people beneficial for everybody.
Nice. And I mean, it's kind of like this podcast, it's I do it because I enjoy it and because I own a media marketing agency and it kind of helps my brand in that way, but also in the fact that it helps me in terms of editing and the audio and the video, knowing that owning a media agency is, pretty fucking important. So it kind of helps me doing this because I get to meet firstly cool people like yourself and like the other guests I have on. I get to learn about all these sick like jobs and careers and hobbies that people have, and I get to see how other people are essentially how other entrepreneurs as yourself, as you said yourself, it's a business. So I get to see how other entrepreneurs are hustling, how other people kind of do what they do, and for the listeners, they get to hear some of this stuff broke down, and they get to hear from your point of view, how they could chase and do what you're doing, but they also get to hear sort of the business side of it. And especially in a lot of episodes we talk a lot about the marketing as well, and I know that really helps the marketing listeners and people in my own network. But same thing really, it's beneficial for both people. I like having people on, like yourself, who have sort of projects you're working on and can plug your own work. I like that platform for people and giving people the ability to kind of come on. And it's not a massive audience, and I never claim that it is. But it gives people that little bit of one chance to kind of promote themselves, plug their work, and two, kind of give other people experience doing things like being a guest on a podcast, which you don't have a lot of experience doing until someone asks you to do it. It's kind of one of them things. And people who I've had on likely will go on to be super successful and do do Q&As and do podcasts and do interviews, and it's beneficial in that way as well, I believe.
110%. Yeah. And what you were saying about, and it's the reason I really love this podcast, I've been binging it. It's the idea that you take passion project, that's the one thing we all got in common, right? And you got all the different disciplines that come with that. It could be anything from acting to fishing, right? And what's amazing about it is that, and it's quite similar to hip hop. It's what drew me to hip hop as a music form originally. It's the whole idea of you are what you're not. And a banging hip hop tune I loved, there was Endless Summer.
Hmm.
And what they did to make the melody in the background is they flipped Beach Boys song. So they turned a Beach Boys song into this hard boom bap gritty thing, right?
Nice.
And just taking something that's not you, but you take the core essence of it, right? Like I could learn a lot of marketing from you, and then I apply that to me trying to get artists,
Hmm.
different genres, so to speak, but we make it work from learning from each other.
Definitely. Definitely. And I mean, I know, I don't even know if what we said on podcast or if it was after last week when I was talking to Fluttertone, to Comb. But it was kind of like, and it's kind of a running theme again with the network. And I like having this sort of, not a platform, but this kind of network now, like, within sort of obviously owning an immediate business. I know I'm going to have opportunities come up where I might need a producer. I might need someone that knows how to market music. You know, I might need a guitarist like Kevin. I might need a designer. And I like having that nice sort of network and sort of blanket of people. I'm kind of being the yes man if someone goes, "Oh, I need this here." I go, I've got, like, I can sort that out. You know, like, let me link you to this guy, and you know, and I like that beneficial side for people who, you know, like you, like Flutter Tone, like everyone else I've brought on, like myself, actually enjoy the hustle, enjoy what they're doing, not only trying to be successful but actually trying to help other people. And I like being able to sort of point people in the right direction and give them the tools or the ability and the feasibility to actually kind of do the things they want to do.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I'm a big fan of Gary V. I don't know, do you watch him?
uh all, yeah, we'll say yes, yes, a lot.
His thesis really, and it's exactly what you were saying, that's really what I work by too, is, you know, you make a living out of what you get, but you make a life out of what you give. And really, your business should be based around giving. What can I give these artists as a music producer? What can I give these guys as a podcast show host, you know, as a media marketing agency? Just what can I give? What can I give? What can I give?
100%.
And for me, so far, that's been working out. Is honestly, the documentary idea came about because it was like, what can I give these guys so that they'll come to me instead of any of the other thousands of producers? And so far, it's been a treat, you know?
That's it. And I mean, kind of in the breakdown of the marketing side of that, that's actually because I know I said I was going to start doing this a lot more for the people that were asking. In terms of funneling, and how we would know that as marketers, that's actually a really good point there, in that you're kind of building yourself that organic custom and the organic client base by you have more to offer. Now, in a very loose sense, this is kind of like a lead gen and like a lead magnet where we would kind of have, you know, sign up, get this for free. But and then you'd kind of go, oh, but you can have this, and you know, it's the same as all gurus do. You know, there's a cheat sheet PDF. Here is my templates for emails. Here's boom, 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 and essentially what Cormac's actually done is created his own value, because he can then say to other artists, oh, well, look, you know, if you're going to work with me, I can put you on this show. I can give you that extra step and that extra ladder, sort of extra up, to get that track promoted. And obviously then you have the connections with Fluttertone, and you have connections with all these other artists within the industry, and you bring a lot of value to people that are actually looking to get into this industry as well.
Yeah, yeah, 110%. I love
Nice.
that. That was something that I was definitely looking at for a while, was, you know, when you're advertising, selling beats, you know, oh, buy this, get 10 beats free. But then when you do stuff like that, it generally devalues the amount of work that I put in to make 10 of those beats. So it's
Exactly.
always about finding something that doesn't devalue yourself, but also adds value to other people. Uh,
Exactly.
Hard
Exactly.
line to walk, really, isn't it?
It is. But again, what I said at the very start here, another reason I really I'm excited to have you on is because, and again, you've mentioned Gary Vee again, which kind of fits into his jab, 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 hook theory. You put out a shit ton of content on your socials as well. I mean, your Instagram, your YouTube, everything will be linked here, so go check it out, guys. But you obviously have your YouTube channel all changed. You're putting out all this content for new music producers, for artists in hip hop. And I mean, genuinely, if you're interested in anywhere in the music industry, go check out this content, because I mean, you have everything on there. You have tips, you have tutorials, you like answer kind of like common questions. You even have like daily vlogs. You kind of show what it's like behind the scenes. And I mean, even from looking at it, you know, it's not just kind of the front and for the internet music producer side. It is real, sort of real life. You know what I mean? It's kind of just what you actually have to do on a daily basis.
That's another thing Gary Vee said, and when he said it, it was probably at a time that I needed to hear it, because I might have been doing a bit of that fronting.
Mhm.
And he said, what did he say? He was like, you know, the internet killed that. You can't hide anymore. People know who you are. So I'll never do that again.
100%.
And that is what the YouTube videos are. It's like, hey, I'm a Dublin-based music producer. I've only been operating about a year or two. Well, I've been longer myself, but trying to get my name out there a year or two.
Yeah.
And this is the reality of my life, you know. Hey, I
Mhm.
got a gig today. Hey, this song actually just got rejected, you know, telling you all these things and the processes I have to get through to get there.
100%. And again, this is why I like having such a, not only a network, like we said, but a network of very like-minded people. And I know you had even said that before, really, in like our first conversation, you had said that it bounces well, because it's the exact same for me, in the fact that I like to know people are kind of genuine. when they're coming in for work, you know, and I like to show other people as well that I'm genuine and not kind of, as you say, front it. And I mean, marketers are fucking prolific for it. Like, you know what I mean? If you work in the online digital nomad sort of industry, you can guarantee you know at least 50 people that are just fronting some shit. Like, you know, they lease a car or they do this or that, and they try to front like they're so much more than they are. And even in music, obviously, it happens a ton as well. And I think the key is to kind of find people that don't, and find people that are grounded, and find people that actually kind of know what they're after and know how to actually build other people in the process. And it's kind of why, like you say, you know, you show the bad stuff as well, not just, you know, oh, this good thing. It's like, oh, you know, this track was shelved, you know, this didn't work, this didn't happen. And it's the same for me. The amount of times I've done Instagram stories where I'm like, just had a sick meeting with this potential client. It's went awesome, like should be a done deal. And then like 4 days later, I'm like, shit, like, oops. But then I'm just like, you
Yeah.
know, fuck it. Didn't work out. You know what I mean? This is, and I think the problem is, and this is where I think the problem lies, is people who do this sort of thing and who put themselves out there in that way, we get so used to pretty much the rejection of it. We get so used to like getting knocked back and having these shit problems come in that when you're starting out, you think everyone's going to notice. You're like, everyone's going to know if I say I'm going to do this and then it doesn't happen, I'm going to look stupid. And I guess the point when you've had it happen 50 times over, you're just like, all right, next problem. What's going to happen next? And I think that's a lot of the problem why people just front, and then people end up getting in like serious debt holes and like doing some crazy shit because they haven't been genuine from the start, just been like, oh well. Like, I know marketers who will not, like, who still pretend they have the same client base they did 6 months ago or a year ago. And I know other marketers are like, yeah, COVID hit and it fucked me big time. But then they pulled it back because they're genuine and because they're actually honest about what their situation is and how their business is going.
That's a very difficult one, though. Even just relating to the marketing side as a freelancer,
Yeah.
if I'm talking to friends or family and I'm like, I've 5 jobs going this month, you know, I'm quite chuffed about that. But then the next month I'm telling them, oh well, actually I've no jobs going. That it's even harder to tell them that after the month that I've had 5 jobs because it feels like you went backwards.
Yeah, exactly. And
Um,
sometimes it's just your cycle as well. I mean, for me, it's like in marketing, I have like a cycle where I do all my outreach, sign clients, go through the onboarding process, get them set up, make sure they're comfortable, and then go back to outreach. So, like, it might be like, yeah, like I signed a client here, and then like a month and a half later, signing them. But it's like it's a whole process to get to that point. And I think until people, as we say, have that knockback and get it done to them 50 times, they don't realize that it's completely acceptable to just say things went tits up and didn't work.
yeah, yeah, you've got to be able to say it goes tits up because once you can say that, you can walk away from it and start the next thing, you know, and you got to learn that.
Do you know, that's so true. So true.
It's something that all composers, beat makers, electronic musicians, we all know it. Anyone who makes stuff in the box is like, you've probably got an entire hard drive full of songs that are 8 bars long, where you got 8 bars into them and you were like, this is shite. But if you
Yeah.
don't walk away, you will waste your entire day on them. So you got to know when to leave it and
Yeah.
move to the next thing.
Of course. And I know I actually spoke about this on a Instagram story, I think not that long ago. But there's actually a really good book called The Dip. And I can't remember who wrote it, but it's super interesting. Quite a short book, but it actually talks about that, and it talks about quitting, but saying that, you know, quitting isn't actually a bad thing. Quitting's a good thing, but only if you do it at the right time for the right reasons. And I mean, very honestly, it was such a good book for me because obviously, and I've been very vocal about it. You know, I started my business at the start of coronavirus, which was possibly the worst fucking decision I could have ever made for business wise. But I mean, started the business, was going really well, quit my job, went, yeah, this is fucking great. And then coronavirus hit and we went in lockdown. Literally about 5 days after I quit my job, we went into lockdown. Disgusting timing. And yeah, shit was just really not fantastic. You know what I mean? The whole market was changing. The problem was I'd spent so much time trying to learn how to break into this market, and then suddenly the fucking goalposts have moved, and you're trying to work out how to shoot. Instead, you went out from throwing the ball to kicking the ball. You know what I mean? It's just completely changed. And yeah, so when I quit the job and then Corona hit, and I'd lost a client straight off the bat. One of the clients I just signed, I lost, and then everyone else was like, "Oh well, that's a bad decision. You know, you've quit your job. You know, you're not going to make no money. Thankfully, I was in a position that was able to kind of right the boat again. We weren't deep. And then suddenly things started coming good again. And a lot of that was social media content that I was putting out, and I was putting out as a business. And it's what I've preached from the start of the good energy, put out good energy, it'll always come back and all this, which sounds like bullshit, to be honest. You know what I mean? If you told me it would work 6 months ago, I'd have said you were a liar. But it does, you know what I mean? You keep working, you keep putting out good content, and somehow stuff comes back to you. Now, obviously, as I said before, you put out a ton of content for your social media. Do you have a strategy in place for that, or do you just kind of put it out as you make it?
I've been through all sorts of processes with that, to be honest, in terms of strategies where it was like, yeah, even in terms of like keeping things looking tidy, like I'll post this on this day, that on that day, that
Yeah.
on that day. But life just catches up on you, man. So it's really, for me, it's about when I have something, it's out.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly working, so I constantly have something, and then it's out, it's out, it's out. And the structure has slowly dissipated, and it's just when I have something, release that, hope that it gets a good reception. I've even stopped worrying about, you know, how people might be like, let me release this at 8 o'clock because that's when people are on their phones, and
Yeah.
maybe if it's a Monday, it's better than a Saturday because people are out on Saturdays. And
Mm-hmm.
I used to think about all that stuff, but now, to be honest, when it's out, and
Yeah.
it will find the right people, because I really just think that people who want the content will get the content, kind of in the way that you were saying, when you put out good
Yeah.
energy, you get good energy back, just operating on that basis.
Yeah.
And I use hashtags and things like that. They don't help sometimes. Sometimes they really do. You know, when you
Yeah.
got a great photo, sometimes it goes far, great video goes far, and mediocre videos won't. And I think that's the rule, really.
So- And you share pretty much everything. So I'm pretty sure when I've looked all your YouTube videos, you share all that content on there. Anything you're doing with artists, you share. And I mean, you have tons of stories. Like your stories are super active as well.
Yeah, well, the Instagram stories is like such an easy way to engage with your audience and tell
Yeah.
them what you're about. And I don't even make half of them. It's like my feed is stuff I'm interested in. I
Yeah.
love philosophy, I love spirituality, and I sort of incorporate that into the brand, where it's like, I love this post, let me post it. And sometimes I'll post something, obviously philosophy and religion and things like that. It's controversial topics. Sometimes I'll put up stuff like that and I'll lose 10 followers, and I'll be like, grand. I don't
Yeah.
care. It's not part. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I'll put up constant videos on this is how you make boom bap beats, this is how you make trap beats, this how you, and I'll lose 10 followers because they weren't interested. They might have been interested in music, but they weren't interested in beats.
Yeah.
So that stuff is going to happen, and you might start losing followers, but it's about, and then you might start gaining a lot of followers, but it's just about post what you have whenever you have it, get it out there. That's constant awareness. Boom, boom, boom. I'm here. I'm doing this. And also, don't be disgruntled as well, because what I found out is there are some guys who are incredibly quiet on social media, don't do
Mhm.
YouTube channels, don't do anything, but my God, they're working behind the scenes. So my
100%.
advice on it is just keep working, just keep doing your thing constantly. If you love it, why aren't you doing it like now? Why
Yeah.
aren't you doing it right now if you love it?
And people always think they're going to get like that initial boost. Like they think as soon as they start putting out some content, their numbers are going to go up. When, as you said, quite, most likely your numbers are going to go way down as soon as you start putting out like shit loads of content. Some people just don't want to see it. I mean, when I started putting out like all the content, like the stuff that with what I do, I need to put out, but it's kind of like when you start it, everyone kind of goes, "That's a bit weird." Like, why is he putting that out? But then it makes sense 6 months down the line. And it's the same thing when I started putting out like Motivation Monday posts. And every time I put out a Motivation Monday post, swear to God, for like 2 months, it'd be like -6 followers for every Monday motivation post. People were just unfollowing for the sake of it. Put up like a podcast thing, I'd maybe get 3, but I'd lose like 5. Because people who have like I've maybe known since I was a kid who see it and they're like, that's just fuck, I can't be fucking bothered looking at this all the time, and just unfollow. But then, as you say, you will get a spike. It's going to hit where you hit a market or a little niche that kind of, or a community that engages, and then it always comes swings and roundabouts. Really, give the good energy, keep putting out that content. Let the negativity flow past. Let the people who don't want to see it unfollow. It doesn't affect you in any way, and then just wait until you hit that little community that's actually going to not only view, but actually appreciate the content you're putting out and the amount of time and effort that you're going to put into what you're putting out for them. Because I mean, what I do, yeah, I have to do all this, but I mean, you do YouTube tutorials. That can't be easy for you. You know, you're making beats, you're making trap beats, and you're not only making them, you're actually teaching people how to do it, and you're doing tutorials and giving tips for how to, you know, people can get their songs out there in 2020. That was one of your most recent ones, 5 top tips. And that takes a lot of time for you. You know, you have to not only know how to do it, you also have to set up, almost script what you're going to do on screen for that. And I think it really takes to find a community that appreciates what you're going to be putting out for them, as opposed to people who maybe just watch it because they're your friend and they watch 30 seconds of a video to give you a view. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you'll probably like this one from a marketing perspective. Is it's as deep as I've ever delved into proper marketing. Is when I started doing the YouTube videos, I was looking for exactly that community. And so what I started learning about, and this again goes back to like you are what you're not. I had to go look at things that I never thought I'd be looking at. I was looking at Google Ads,
Yeah.
and I was looking at YouTube videos of how you actually run a Google ad and all the little things, the little boxes you have to tick that make it run better and stuff. And I hit on a perfect demographic where suddenly the chart just went boom, and I barely had to pump money in. And it was just like, these guys like the type of video I'm making.
So you're running paid ads for your YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's super interesting. So I don't want to ask you a question that might make you uncomfortable to answer, but how are you putting a lot of money into it? Sort of, what's that? Because I didn't actually expect you to be putting money into that. So what does that look like for you?
Yeah, well, I treat it like a business, which is why I put money into it, because if I build up, we're nearly at 1,000 now on the YouTube channel.
Yes.
And if I build it up to 10, 20K, I can make money. I've already actually started making money. The 5 tips for releasing music was sponsored by DistroKid. So it was a paid video, and that was
Nice.
only when I had 500 followers. So treat your stuff like a business, and you will start to see money come in like it's a business.
That's awesome.
Um, but no, I haven't been pumping money in the way that, and I had to Google all this. I'm no expert at this. I make tunes and that's it. But I did loads of testing where I'd put like 50 quid into this and maybe, well, it was probably 50 quid across 5 ads, you know, put 10 quid into here and there. But it was all about hitting that demographic. And then when I saw the chart go like that, it's like, okay, this is the demographic. Let me put 50 quid into just this one. And yeah, fucking took off then. I was getting hundreds of followers every week and stuff like that.
That's awesome. And as you say, it is, you know, you're invested now, but the aim is that it comes back to you in the long run, because you hit, you know, 100K, you hit 10K, you start monetizing, and then you start getting practice, and then you start getting the larger ad reach, you start getting actual sponsored videos, not just ad payments. So I mean, as you say, it is a business, and you're not only investing yourself in education, but you're investing in your business financially as well to get your reach out there and your brand awareness out there.
And I don't even mean this to say anything about myself or what I do, as in to say I'm not bragging, but I'm saying this because this is, people always think, why are you paying for ads? Why? I've had so many people say it to me, but to be completely honest, I have made back the money, the entire amount of money that I've spent on ads since I've started this a few months ago. It's all made back, so I've broken even. You won't lose money if you do it right.
That right there that he's just said, that is the key for any advertising you ever do. It'll only fail if you do it wrong. And I mean, when you're talking especially social channels, you know, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, it's actually easier to do bad, or sorry, it's easier to do it well than it is to do it wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's all optimized to make it easy for you to be successful. I mean, if you're messing up Facebook ads, just go to learn more. Do you know what I mean? You're just not doing it right. They should be successful, especially as, you know, you say, if you're looking at the right markets and you've done the smart thing, you know, you Googled it, you went onto YouTube, you found out how to do it, you tested your markets, and then you kind of essentially scaled that market by then planting the money in where you find the winning advert, which is exactly, you know, that's marketing 101, you know, test your ads, find out what works, and then scale the winning ad. And obviously you've done it perfectly and to perfect success for yourself.
Yeah, yeah, and I was delighted with it. And like you said, it was marketing 101. So for anyone else, other producers out there that want to get it out there, literally just YouTube it. You know, some guy will tell you on YouTube, watch this podcast. We'll tell you.
Exactly. And definitely go check out, because you've got a ton of even more valuable stuff than that on your YouTube, especially for, music producers. As we said, you have all these tutorials on beat making and stuff. And what is the sort of idea there? Is it for beginners or is it intermediate? What sort of is the market you're looking at there?
Yeah, I feel, again, back to humility. I feel like I'm at a level now where I can teach beginners and maybe very just about intermediate with a great deal of articulation and stuff. And anything after that, it's sort of seeming like these guys are quite advanced than my peers. So I'm not going to be teaching my peers. So it is videos for quite beginner, home taught, self taught music producers in the hip hop area.
Nice. That's it. And to me, genuine, this is actually something that, and I mean, it's something I've done from the very start, even back when I had my sort of old Insta setup. And I don't know if it's something you're involved in, is content sort of engagement groups for social media.
Explain that one to me.
It very simply, it's like, you put on a post and then you go drop a message in this group and say, "Hey, new post, guys," and then the people in the group go and give engagement, likes, comments, and shares if it's relevant to them and stuff like that. But it's something that is sort of very prominent. It's always been very prominent, but it's getting a lot more prominent now. And sort of, I've been thinking sort of personally in ways we could sort of go past that, and actually kind of try and make it better. So it's not just a case of sitting down and saying, "Oh, here's a post. Can you go and like it for me, or can you go drop a comment?" But actually trying to build more of a sort of a content community, I guess you could say. So whereas like we're having this chat now and like, I'm learning stuff that I didn't know about the marketing side of music promotion. And hopefully, if you learn anything from what I've said about marketing, and kind of have a round table. And that's my idea, is to sort of in the very near future have almost a round table of content creators from all different business sides, all different niches, and kind of bring people together to do what I essentially do every week, which is market, give marketing tips, network, and sort of work out what content other people are doing, try and give other people tips on that, and actually kind of get some information myself on, what benefits my business.
Yeah, I love the idea. I'd even take it one step further than that. Film the whole thing, put it out on YouTube for everyone to see. Spread the love,
There you
spread
go.
the
That's even
information,
better.
spread
Yeah,
the knowledge. Again, just what can I give? And that is something you could definitely give. The people, you have the knowledge, they have even more knowledge about different things. Bring them together, pop it out.
100%. Well, look, I just wanted to check, just kind of round us off. If you have any tips for other music producers, obviously, tip number one, go and watch your bloody YouTube channel. There's plenty of information on that.
Love it.
But anything else for other music producers? Any good tips or hints?
Any good tips or hints? You're going to do the best thing anyway, because just do what you love. And that'll be the best thing you can do. If you love making rock music, get yourself a band, go record rock music, and then watch, like, again, back to YouTube, just watch the best rock music producers mix the tracks and master the tracks. I personally love hip hop, so I have spent hours and hours on YouTube watching Timberland make beats and mix, Kanye make beats and mix, all the masters.
Yeah.
Been watching them on YouTube since I was a kid, and I'm here now. And honestly, I'm going to keep watching more people, and I'm in a college to learn from peers and the greats ahead of me,
Yeah.
and just keep learning, keep going, and that's the way, honestly.
Awesome.
And humility would be my final tip. It on par with that, keep learning, is like the amount of people in music, whether you're an artist or a producer, and it's like, this is fire, this is amazing, and it's like, calm down. It's not maybe bring it here
Yeah.
and ask for help, or bring it there and ask for help, and everywhere you go, and just appreciate that you're talking to someone exactly like your idea. Everywhere you go, appreciate the fact that you're talking to someone who knows something you don't,
Yeah.
and you will be a master in no time. So that is my tip for music producers.
I actually, now you said that, I just wanted to quickly, I don't know if you watch Joe Rogan's podcast, do you?
Yeah, love it.
He
Love it.
done the most recent one he done with Kevin Hart, and Kevin Hart was talking about someone, fuck, what's his name? Oh, guy that owns Amazon. What's his name again?
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos, yeah. So Kevin Hart, basically, Joe was asking Kevin like about meeting famous people and stuff, and Kevin Hart was trying to talk about networking and about, I don't care sort of what the situation is, I'll put myself in front of someone just so they know who I am. And he says this thing where like he was at a party and Jeff Bezos walked in, and everyone else was kind of just standing there, and he was like, "I'm going to go say hello." And his friend was like, "You can't go say hello to Jeff. Like, you're Kevin Hart. You cannot go and say hello to Jeff Bezos." He was like, "I'm going to go say hello." And he just walked over and was like, "Hey, Jeff, just want to tell you, I appreciate you. You're hustling, and I'm Kevin Hart. Nice to meet you." Pretty much was like that. And he was talking about, and then Joe was like, "No." And he was like, "Yeah." He was like, "No one understood why." He was like, "But," he says, "next time that guy hears Kevin Hart, he said, he's going to know who I am."
Yeah. And again, bring it back to music production, because it's what I do, right? And it's what I know when I'm approaching an artist. Hey, not even I'm Cormac. I love the most recent thing you did, and it's not. I read a great thing where it was like, never flatter anybody, But the idea behind flattery is it's a lie.
Yeah.
So I'm not flattering because I'm not lying. Why would I be talking to him if I didn't love his latest release?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I love your latest release. I love this, and this about it. If you're feeling a little brave, maybe mention some of the things that were done wrong. If you maybe have a relationship with that person first, but and then you could say, "Oh, we can fix this." But if not, just say, "Hey, I love it, and I would love to work sometime." And then exactly like the Kevin Hart story, by the way, I'm Cormac. And next time he hears the name.
Yeah, and it's next time, even sort of for what you do, it's next time, that person just has to know you. And next time someone goes, "Oh, do you know anyone by any chance that's good, particularly with hip hop beats?" He'll go, "Do you know what, actually? I do. Here, go speak to this person." And I suppose it all just ties back into what the sort of key theme is between all these music podcasts, which is don't be a dick and just network with people around you. Just
We
network.
started with it and we're ending with it, and it is the gospel. What do they call it? The golden rule of
The
the
golden
music
rule.
industry. Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. Awesome.
Someone added me on Instagram the other day, a musician, and I followed them back, and I said, "Hey, I love your stuff." They said, "Welcome, man." Not thank you for the follow back. Not thank you for listening to my music after you followed me back. Not thank you for showing interest. Just welcome to the page.
Yeah, just welcome to my life. just yeah. No, I assume you're not going to work with him anytime soon then.
Exactly. Don't be a dick, the golden rule. And do what you love, the follow up to that.
Love that. Awesome. Well, look, that sounds like a perfect way to end it then.
Cheers, man. I really appreciate you having me on here. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. No problem, man. Honestly, I appreciate you coming on. Just perfectly rounded out this whole music segment we've been doing over the last couple of weeks. So it's been awesome to have you on and get that final perspective of the producer. And I mean, everything you said today, everything we've talked about, I think is super valuable for people who are listening. The people that ask questions, I believe your question has been answered. Hopefully they have. If not, all links for Cormac will be below. Please go check him out. Follow him on Instagram. Subscribe to his YouTube. There is some great content on both of them. And please, as always, hit like, hit subscribe on the podcast. If you're just listening to the audio, then just go hit follow. Leave a review if you fancy it and you have the time, because it is very much appreciated. And that is it for this week, guys. We'll be back again next week. We are going to turn the table a little bit, go for a bit of a different industry, a bit of a different niche, change it up for you guys, keep it fresh. But I hope you've enjoyed the music segment. Any questions you have, please feel free to divert it to all the guys that have been on. I'm sure they'll be happy to help you. And if you're, into music and you're trying to get a track out there, you need a producer, get in touch.
Perfect.
Awesome. No problem, guys. Well, thank you for listening. We appreciate it. And I'll catch you next week.
Hello guys, how you doing? It's me, Jack, mate. You've just finished watching probably one of the best videos on YouTube. So why not take a moment to consider subscribing? And if you haven't already, hit the like button and turn the notification bell on. Apparently it helps. I don't know how. It was a good one though, wasn't it?